Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome back to all the participants joining me on this session. So, participants, as you are aware, we are in the process of using the native DevOps offerings from Azure Cloud. That is, Azure DevOps is something that we are focusing on. So, in the last session, it was a troublesome deployment that did not go as expected. And I tried to go ahead and find the dependencies, but I tried my best participants, but I couldn't find why it was not able to pick from that reference, because it was giving me the build in a particular location, but my release was not able to pick that location. I tried, I couldn't find it. So participants, what I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and redeploy this setup one more time, making out all the checkpoints one by one thoroughly. And I'm sure this time it should get through. There will be great progress at least. And I will make sure that gets deployed into our web app platform. So participants, the aim is to go ahead and use the integrated service of Azure DevOps from Azure DevOps organizations offering. Why? Because Azure has all these services natively offered into one platform where you can go ahead and put your code, build your code, test your code, and even you deploy it into Azure cloud resources. So at this moment, participants, we will go ahead and do all the necessary configuration. So first, where to start is I want a platform where I want to go ahead and do a deployment into. So I will go ahead and let this web app services to start with. So let me take my web app service at this moment. So what is basically web app service? If I have to revisit this, it's your PaaS model where you get all the services managed by the Azure cloud in the backend. Server provisioning, deployment, scaling, descaling is done by Azure cloud itself. So let me hit my app service creation. Yeah, let me hit create the app service. So it starts with me giving my subscription, my resource group, and the cloud platform where I want to go ahead and do a deployment. So I'll go ahead and give my cloud platform web app. So I want to go ahead and do a deployment into my cloud web app. It's the name, a URL for me to access. And in that, I want to go ahead and deploy my application across the code. And this time I'm going to be using Java 17 code, where it is expected to deploy across my Tomcat environment. Why? Because in the previous DevOps pipeline participants, you people have noticed we did provision a server. Into that server, we provisioned Ubuntu OS on top of it. And Ubuntu server, we have bundled our packages along with. all the packages have been bundled along. And inside that bundled package of Tomcat, we have been running our application called My App. So what I'm expecting in response to this now, I'm expecting a platform where I should have Apache Tomcat Java running so that I can deploy my application into that Java environment or Tomcat environment. So what Azure will do as part of this web app, Azure will go ahead and create me a machine or set of machines in the backend. It will go ahead and install Tomcat into those machines, Java into those machines. And then when I go ahead and deploy, that application deploys into Tomcat. Deployment, I will use Azure DevOps to do the deployment. What is your OS? I will use Linux as the operating system. And the region I will go ahead and remain in Central US. This was the same thing that we have done yesterday as well. Pricing plans. So I'll keep it basic B1 because it's just that I have to go ahead and do a deployment into. Next, how is that you will do deployment using any GitHub actions? No, I don't have any GitHub. Or if you want to go ahead and do any GitHub actions, you can enable the GitHub action, select the organization, select your GitHub repository. Participants, you can do this as well, but it's not something which is recommended at this moment because you have to integrate your GitHub account. So GitHub account will go ahead and it will read your code. I would request you, we won't be doing this deployment using GitHub, but we will go ahead and deployment using Azure DevOps. So networking, we are not going to enable any networking because it's not under our network. It's not something that you will manage as part of a network. And then let's do a quick review and provision the web apps account. Yeah. So now participants, the environment is ready where I want to go and do a deployment of the application to this environment. So before that, let me show you what is current reference for this environment. What exactly it is referring right now, resolving to what this environment is currently resolving to. So let's go ahead and resolve this environment. And it should say, welcome to Azure Microsoft. Right. So participants, everyone, please visit this and give me a confirmation. Are you on the same page? Right now, I am on. Are you getting the same? Welcoming every Java developer. Because it's a packaged environment. It's like an environment where you're getting this URL is resolving to a load balancer. That load balancer is routing the traffic to your instance in the backend. Okay, participants, are we good? This is our step one, which is our environment in this case. So into this environment, I want to deploy our application using Azure DevOps. So let's go back to Azure DevOps. I'm inside my Azure DevOps. This is my cloud setup. This is my resolution. This is my Azure DevOps. I'm into my Azure DevOps account and I'm on the application. So participants, where to start? You as a developer or I as a developer will start writing the source code. So we need a source code, a place where we can write our code. So I'm going to go ahead and take this code for now. Sorry, I would like to go ahead and clone this repo. open my terminal. I will move to my desktop and run this command git. Can you get my project cloned? Git clone my project. Beta 1 is the name of my project, which is the name of the folder. I open this project now. Stop. Here it is. And as you guys know, I've been using a simple source code form.xml file, a simple source code. The idea is to release this web application into Azure DevOps. I want to go ahead and release into Azure via Azure DevOps. I want to go ahead and release into platform service. So what is the first stage participants in a pipeline? We know the first stage in a pipeline is version control. So this is our version control. What is the next step after this, participants? What is that you would do normally when you have your code ready? What do you do with the code? We need to build the code. So I wanted to go ahead and have a build pipeline. So it's something already available as part of Azure pipeline called build a pipeline. So it will ask you when you are building a pipeline, you are required to go ahead and submit your code as part of the build pipeline because it needs to know where your code is available. So my code is currently as part of Azure repos. Beta 1 is the name of the repo. And now it has many pipeline configurations. So it'll ask me, hey, you want to go ahead and use Maven. So what does this pipeline will do? This pipeline will build your Java project and run your test cases with Apache. That's all it will do. Nothing more than that. Whereas this one will build your project and as well, it will deploy it to Azure as a Linux web app. So this can be used as a solution. So you can get started. For example, I want to just only do a build process. I want to go ahead and do a build process. So what it will do, Azure will do based upon your inputs that you have given as part of the build process. It would expect a pipeline, which is Azure-pipeline with extension as YML, it will write. And it will tell you what is that it's going to do for you. What it is going to do for you. What it will do, it will go ahead and trigger. There are some YAML configurations that are written. It will take some time for you to understand. So it all starts with a trigger point. So whenever there is a trigger in your source code, master branch, this pipeline will get started and it will go ahead and use a pool of VM image, which is Ubuntu VM, latest Ubuntu image it will download from internet. And it will go ahead and start looking for Maven installation. And it will go ahead and look for the form.xml file, the JDK version, and it will start looking at the goal called package. What is package, participants? What is the goal meant by package? We have been using Maven clean and package, right? This is what is exact package it will do. It will go ahead and package your artifacts. So this is just for the case of build file. It's just, it will go ahead and do the build file. But if you want to do something more out of it, I want to go ahead and do something better out of it. I want to go ahead and find a Maven package, build it, as well as deploy it into Azure cloud. So it'll ask you, okay, since you have a subscription in Azure cloud, so pick that Azure cloud, please. I'm picking the Azure cloud. It'll ask me, since I picked your Azure cloud, give me access into your account, Azure cloud. So I'm once again giving the same thing what we have done yesterday. I'm allowing it to access my Azure account. So based upon the subscription that we have created, it should be able to go ahead and find an application. See, it is able to find the application. I want to go ahead and validate and configure it. So let's go ahead and check how it will go ahead and validate and configure it. So it will go ahead and create another pipeline, another YAML file, a new YAML file, where it will tell what it is going to do for you. See, now this will be little interesting to understand. So what it is going to do now, it's going to go ahead and trigger from master branch some variables. What variables? What is the subscription where it will pick? What is the application name? What is the environment we have? What is the agent it will going to use? Because in order to run Ubuntu packages, in order to run Maven packages, it's need an OS. So in that OS, which is Ubuntu OS, first stage it will do is build. It will go ahead and build your artifact. What kind of build it will do? It will go ahead and package your Maven and it will go ahead and publish your artifacts. So Maven package it will do. With regards to Maven, it will go ahead and package your artifacts. Build stage. That's a stage. If you look at the stages, there are various stages. Stage 1, deploy. Right now, 2 stages. Stage 1 to build. What it will build? It will build the name of the build, the jobs it will go ahead and do, against what, and it will generate an artifact. See here, it will generate an artifact, a var artifact. That artifact will be deployed into staging environment. This was missing yesterday. And then it will go ahead and deploy based upon the build is done. It will go ahead and do a deployment into a Linux environment. This is what exactly it is going to do for us now. Participants, if you're not understand, don't worry. I will first set up this. I will go ahead and save it. I will save it and run it. I will go ahead and do a commit, do a save it and run. So what will happen? First, it will start with the build stage. See that? It is building the project. So let's explore one by one. First, as part of the Maven package, it started to trigger my Azure pipeline, download the latest Ubuntu image. It started with an agent. It pulled the code from Azure repo, the latest branch. It came up with the Maven command where Maven package is required. So it started to go ahead and handle the Maven package and started to build the package. See, Maven package. Maven on this code is packaging the code. So we generally used Maven clean package. So that is what exactly has happened. And it has created the artifact. So what it has done after the artifact, it has copied the artifacts. Where it has copied the artifacts, ion.var file into the first release, which is home VSTS. VSTS means Visual Studio Team Foundation Server. Don't need to worry about it. It was before Azure DevOps, it was VSTS servers. and it went into a folder. It was source and the application folder target ion.war. This folder it got uploaded, and it started to publish the pipeline where it would go and do a deployment into. So it has done uploading of the file. File upload is done. Once the file upload is done, then the checkout job, that file upload is done successfully. And then the next job, even the next job is also pipeline based. It will download the latest Ubuntu image. From here, the job is done, that Ubuntu agent will get released. Now, a new pipeline, Azure pipelines. And as part of the pipeline, it will go and download the pipeline, latest image, and it will say, hey, I found one artifact inside this process. Let me go and download that artifact. So what are the steps? Initialization, now uploading artifact, downloading of artifact. The artifact is downloaded here. After the artifact downloaded, it started to do a deployment into the application. So participants do realize what we have done is the same process. If you look at the previous Azure DevOps releases, what we have done, we have kept our source code in GitHub, built it using Maven, generated artifacts, uploaded artifacts into our Azure blob storage. Then we started to do a deployment by building an image. Here is not building image, he's directly pulling that artifact, downloading the artifact and deploying it into his environment is deploying. Now, if the deployment is complete, let's go ahead and check whether this deployment is working. There you go, participants. That simple it is. Everyone, are we good? Participants, have you understood now what is exactly a process of deployment, build and release? Everyone? Now, if I go ahead and make changes, see how the pipeline will work. Another attempt for new release that I want to do. Participants, please confirm me if you are able to see the changes. I'll go to my beta 1 project. Git add all these changes. Git commit the latest changes from my side. New release that I'm doing. Git push these changes -new origin branches. So participants, I did make changes at my side. So it is rejecting. Why? Because there are few updates already on the repo. So let's go ahead and pull these changes into our repo. So it says git pull. It is hinting me pull those changes because pipeline is coming here. I'll explain here also, participants, the deployment, and then we will go ahead and update the packages. Can you git push these changes now? It's done. So very soon, participants, the deployment should go ahead and complete, and we should see a new line coming here. Everyone, please go ahead and confirm me the changes at your end. Participants, go ahead and confirm me the changes. Are you able to see the changes? Here it is. Pipeline. There's a new job. There's a new job. Maven package. And deployment yet to get started. Deployment is yet to get started. Maven package is getting, artifact is generated. Now participants deployment have started to take place. Yep. So participants, do you see the changes now? Yes. A new change is happening here successfully, participants. Can you please confirm me, everyone? Everyone, can you please confirm me?
Yeah.
Yes, Kumar. It changes.
Right. So participants, what did you understand from this change? What did you understand from this release? What was your understanding? Participants, you can understand this one in the form of a pipeline. There is a pipeline. This is an integrated pipeline where you are getting the first thing, the address for the source. Where is the source hosted? The source is hosted as part of Azure repos. Azure repos, go ahead and store your code. Because you kept your code there. Then we had something called pipeline, where we have had two stages in the pipeline. What is the first stage? Build stage. We have a build stage. And the next stage was to deploy that. So as part of the build stage, what it was doing, it was trying to pull the code from your source. The build was trying to pull the code from the source. And as part of the build, what were the stages? It was packaging your artifact. As part of the artifact, what was generated? A var package was generated. This var package was generated, and this var package was uploaded after the build is done, was uploaded into artifact. Participants, just give me 1 minute. Right. So we were discussing about the dependencies in terms of building a pipeline, and we have seen the source is being replaced by Azure repos, where the code is made available. As part of the code, which is part of the Azure repos, we had to go ahead and keep that code available. But unless you go to the next stage, which is the build process, it won't be a pipeline. So the next part or the stage that we had to address is the build, where we have taken the code from the Azure repo, packaged it, built a var package, and generated the artifact. So we all know that artifact is not going to be hosted at a place where it is built. So we need a storage location, artifact storage location. So it will go ahead and write the artifact location into Azure artifact. So this is something which you might haven't noticed, but there is something called a drop, a folder called drop, Azure artifacts, in which Azure artifacts is expected to have. So in this Azure artifact, it will go ahead and store the artifact. So I'll show you the artifact drop also. Once the artifact is ready, it will go ahead and start taking the code from the artifact when it comes to the deployment process. When it needs to do a deployment process, participants, it will go ahead and consider So as part of the repos we had, we were building the pipeline and we were deploying. Yeah. So what we were deploying, we were building the artifact, we generated the artifact and it was uploaded into an artifact storage. This is artifact storage. So next stage after the build is done is to go and do a deployment. So deployment, what it will deploy into? It will deploy into web app as part of the deployment. What it has to deploy? The var package. Where is the var package? The var package is available in artifact. Which artifact? Azure artifact. So it will go ahead and download the artifact first in order to do the deployment. First, it will download the artifact. And once the artifact is downloaded, it will start doing a deployment into it, which is the var package. So let me show you the step-by-step, actions that have taken place here, people. If you go into the pipeline, if you hit the pipeline, and if you hit the first pipeline, and you get to see the build stage. Participants, can you see something, an artifact here? There's an artifact. There is an artifact symbol. Can you see, guys? There is an artifact symbol. A small symbol with an artifact. That is where your artifact is available. That is where your artifact is made available. So let's go ahead and look one by one. So let's look into this build stage, what happened. So the stage of build has taken place. Okay. First step was it was pulling the pipeline. Okay. It has pulled the Azure pipeline. It's a pool, we call it as. And as part of the Azure pipelines, it's a job that is running. A job was running. See, job 148 was running. What is this job is all about? If you go and look into the job 148, you will get the details of it. Or wait, should I show you the details, participants? Let's go into the job. And let's go from here. Right. Initialization of job will take place. So where was this information mentioned? This information was mentioned here in the pipeline. You go ahead and look at only the stage, first stage, which is the build stage. As part of the build stage, the name of the stage is what? Build stage. Display name. Can you see the name? The display name as build stage. This is a build stage. The next display stage, it will be deploy. And as part of the deploy, what are the jobs we have? What are the jobs we have? We have jobs, Maven, package, and publish artifacts. Maven, package, and publish the artifact, the job. Inside the job basically comprises of something, tasks. What is the task that you want to run? So here you can see the tasks, task 1 and task 2. So job, the name of the job, Maven package and publish artifact. First thing is to go ahead and target stages into it. First one is to go ahead and Maven package it. So it started to go ahead and Maven package. Everyone, it started to go ahead and package your artifact. And then it was expecting to go ahead and copy the artifacts to the staging environment where it was mentioned. It is task number 2, copy files @2, copy files to artifact. So this is what is mentioned, copy files to artifact staging. What are the inputs? Input means in the current working directory, wherever that you are working, please look for target folder and identify a var or a jar package and put it inside our build artifacts staging directory. So that is what is this artifact staging directory, participants. This is the artifact staging directory where I can show you. Yeah. Upload pipeline, not that one. Post checkout, copy artifacts. Yeah. Now clearly see this. What it has to do, it has to copy files to artifact staging directory. This is the job name. And it should go ahead and hit where into the target. It has found a file which is of target ion.var file, because that is what I have gave in the source code, that I want to have a form.xml file with a name called ion, and the package is ion.var. It found the ion.var package and started to go ahead and drop it into artifact stage. For now, just keep it as a artifact storage. Maybe you can consider it as a blob storage. Consider it as your blob storage. And go ahead and do an upload into this artifact storage, and the name of the artifact is drop. That's what I meant. Artifact, Azure artifact, which is with the name called drop. It's the name of the artifact. Artifact, for now, participants, if you're not able to relate with this, artifact is nothing but your blob storage, where you go ahead and store your blobs or artifacts, where you go ahead and store your files or artifacts like var or jar packages. So it was uploaded into artifact. Kumar, I'm not able to relate. Then you go into the artifact and you will find under the build process, you will find an artifact. In this artifact, can you see this Azure artifact, guys? Can you see there is a target folder? There is a ion.var file. Is this clear, everyone? Is this file available now? Double confirmation for you. Is this file available? So from this file, see the file is now, from this file, using this file, we can go ahead and start doing a deployment. So that is what is mentioned as part of the deployment pipeline. If you go ahead and look at the next stage is about deployment. The name of the deployment, on what it depends. This stage will depend. This stage will depend upon build. What is the condition? If it is successful, if the build is successful, only then start it. What are the jobs for it? The job name, into which environment it should go ahead and release into. So environment name means our web app environment. Our web app environment name, I gave it as SSAD Cloud as web app environment. That is the name of the environment it will go ahead and deploy into. What is the pool of image? VM image, Ubuntu latest, because once again, it has to go ahead and run a job on an agent. How it will go ahead and deploy? It will deploy one. It will only deploy one time. And what it will deploy into? It will go ahead and deploy into Azure subscription, my subscription. This is my subscription. Okay. And then what it will deploy into? The application and the package name. It will go ahead and identify in drop. Is there any folder with the jar or var file? Yes. It will go ahead and pick that jar or var file and it will start doing a deployment into. We have already uploaded, right? In the last stage, we have uploaded our drop artifact. Inside the drop artifact, look for this target folder. Inside the target folder, you will find a jar or a var package and do that jar or var package deployment. And that is what is mentioned here, people, in this line. Open up the deployment. We will go ahead and make changes. So after the changes, what is happening? The changes are going ahead and getting implemented into Azure repos. Let me take you into the Azure project. Azure repos. The code is getting updated into Azure repo. Because of the code update happening at the Azure repo level, this pipeline is getting executed. Then the pipeline is able to go ahead and start your build pipeline. As part of the build pipeline, we are also deploying it into Azure cloud. Here it is. So what are the stages? Build stage. It will go ahead and package your project, upload your artifact, make your pipeline ready. Whereas a deployment project, it will download the artifact, it will deploy into Azure cloud, Azure web app. And with that, I'm able to resolve the application. Is that clear, everyone? Hello, participants, are you able to relate it now? Everyone are able to relate how the how CI model is implemented? Participants are able to relate the changes now. Changes are done, and now we have done a deployment, CD, continuous deployment. Participants are able to relate this one. And now, participants, if you want to do a practice into it, the challenges that you will face, that as I already mentioned, is that you have to go ahead and buy the pipeline. That was the reason I asked. If you're sure, then you practice. If not sure, just look into my screen, because it's both interesting as well as it's something which is gonna consume your resources also. So keeping in mind, I hope now you are able to understand the release that I've done. Participants, are you able to connect with this, everyone? Any questions from your side, participants? You have any questions for me? And participants, app service is very costly, as well as the DevOps service. You have to go ahead and buy the pipelines from Azure, and that will cost you roughly around 2,000 to 4,000 bucks in between. For me, it cost me around 3,800 rupees per month just for using one pipeline. And if you use two pipelines, then it will cost you double. I've used two pipelines, two projects, so it will cost you. So keep in mind when you are using Azure DevOps, it is not for free. Initially, actually, I'll tell you before it was free for everyone. Azure DevOps was also free. But what they have done is they have learned that people are not using free. They're using free for their projects also. Organizations are using the free Azure DevOps for organize. So they block the access. So it is that you have to go ahead and raise a request to Azure that I am an individual. Please allow me to use Azure DevOps. Then only you can use it. Otherwise, you can't use it. Everyone, are we good? So request form I've already shown you. If you're not sure about it, just go to Azure DevOps, billing management for Azure DevOps. You have to buy the parallel. You have to buy the parallel licenses. Yeah, buy the licenses. If you want still avail the free services, then you can raise a request to Azure DevOps. Give you the link also. Is it on setup billing page? Or it started using Azure DevOps. I think it's the first page. I have to raise a request to Azure DevOps. Give me a minute, people. DevOps pricing. Not this link. Billing management. Try to remember. I'll give you the path. Try to remember the path. And buy the parallel jobs. Yes. Yes. So try bookmarking this page, guys. It's in parallel jobs. So you have to raise a request via this forms. Grant this. So how to reach to this page?
Kumar, ping me that URL, the request.
I'm pinging you that URL. So I'm just gonna go ahead and even I'll remember this link is available in under billing management. Under billing management, it is available under buy your parallel jobs, and it is available here. So participants raise a request. If you're lucky, they will respond. They'll take long time, guys. Sometimes up to 15 days it will take. But give it a try. There's no harm in trying out. Okay. Participants, have you received the link?